For my mom's birthday, I gifted her a used Lexus, but she rolled her eyes. "You couldn't even get a new one?" My aunt muttered, "Pathetic." I nodded, grabbed the keys, and drove off silently. The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages. Dozens of missed calls begging me to undo it. I spent 9 months saving up for it. Cut every unnecessary expense. No vacations, no shopping sprees, no dining out. I even turned down a trip to Mexico with a guy I really liked because I couldn't afford to lose a week of shifts. I was working doubles as a nurse's aide and pulling weekend bar shifts just to make this happen. The plan was simple. Get my mom a used Lexus SUV for her birthday. The woman had been driving the same beat-up Honda since I was in high school, and I thought this would be something good, something she might finally be proud of me for. My mom always had a way of reminding me what I wasn't. I wasn't as successful as my cousin Rachel, who married a plastic surgeon. I wasn't as put together as my sister Danielle, who had 3 kids and a Pinterest-perfect kitchen. I was just Emily, still renting, still single, still bringing store-bought potato salad to Thanksgiving. But this year was going to be different. I was going to walk into her driveway, hand her those keys, and watch her face light up. I imagined she'd cry, maybe hug me. Not too long because she hates clingy emotions, but just enough to say thank you. That would have been enough. I had the car detailed, leather seats, smooth drive. The dealership even threw in a new sound system. It wasn't new, but it looked it. I felt it. And for someone like me who'd spent years clipping coupons and pretending to like ramen noodles, it was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought besides my student loans. The birthday party was in full swing when I pulled up. Balloons tied to the mailbox, folding tables lined with Costco trays. My mom was out back with the rest of the family. I called her to the front and told her I had something to show her. She walked over slowly, wine glass in hand, chewing on some toothpick appetizer. She looked at the Lexus like she was expecting someone else to come out from behind it, then looked at me. I told her it was hers. She looked down at the emblem, then back at me. "You couldn't even afford new." She said it flat, not even sarcastic. Just disappointed, like I handed her a burnt casserole. Behind her, my Aunt Beverly, who once told me my voice was too whiny for a wedding speech, leaned in and muttered, "Pathetic." She didn't even try to whisper. I stood there holding out the keys. No one clapped. No one smiled. A couple cousins exchanged looks. I nodded, said nothing, walked past my mom, got in the Lexus, and drove away. No one stopped me. No one asked where I was going. The next morning, I had 19 missed calls, then 27, then 34. My phone was a slot machine of regrets. Texts from family. Voice messages from my dad. A group text from my cousin saying she'd been having a rough week. That she was just caught off guard. Someone I think my aunt wrote, "You embarrassed her." Then came a photo in the family group chat. My mom sitting on the porch holding the gift box that had originally held the Lexus keys. Empty now, looking out at the street like someone had died. Then my dad called. He rarely calls, especially not before noon. I didn't answer. Then he showed up pounding on my door like the building was on fire. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. He said I had to give the car back, that she wasn't herself, that she didn't realize what she was saying, that she wanted it now. I asked him what changed. He said because your uncle offered to buy it from you, and she lost it. Said it was hers. Started screaming in the middle of dinner. That's when I realized she didn't want me to have the car either. She couldn't have it. Nobody could. I didn't say anything. Just closed the door. What happened next wasn't what anyone expected. 2 days passed. I didn't return calls. Didn't respond to the texts begging me to reconsider. Didn't open the door when someone knocked, even when I could see my mom's car parked outside the building for a full hour. It was silent in my apartment except for the hum of the refrigerator and the constant buzz of my phone vibrating across the counter. I let it all ring out. Then a letter showed up. Not an email, not a text, an actual envelope shoved under my door with my name written in shaky cursive. No return address, but I knew it was from her. Inside was a half-hearted apology, 2 short paragraphs. She said she didn't mean what she said, that she was just overwhelmed that Beverly had been planting negativity, whatever that meant. She ended it with the Lexus would really help me with errands. You know, you still have the spare key, right? That was it. No acknowledgement of how hard I'd worked to afford it. No, thank you. No, I'm sorry for humiliating you in front of the whole family. Just errands. I shoved the letter in a drawer full of junk I hadn't looked through in over a year. A week later, my cousin Abby messaged me about Grandma's birthday dinner. Said it was happening Saturday night, and I was expected to be there. She added, "Don't pull another stunt like you did at Mom's party." I stared at the message until my vision blurred. That night, I booked a therapy appointment, first one in years. I didn't say anything to anyone. Just needed to hear a voice that wasn't trying to guilt me into giving something away. Saturday came. I didn't drive the Lexus. I took the bus, wore plain jeans, and an old hoodie. 2 hours, 3 transfers, and a 20-minute walk later, I showed up just as everyone was halfway through the main course. The second I stepped into the dining room, every head turned. Not one person said hello. My mom looked me up and down and raised her glass. Look who finally decided to show her face. I guess she's done pouting. Someone chuckled. Aunt Beverly coughed into her napkin like it was all hilarious. I didn't say a word, just took an empty seat at the far end of the table next to Uncle Ray. He gave me a small nod and slid over a plate. The room moved on without me. Jokes. Small talk. More jokes. Then my mom started again, this time louder. She told a story about how I once cried in middle school when I didn't make the honor roll. Said I'd always been too sensitive. Said she used to worry I'd never survive the real world. Then she looked at me directly and said, "And now she thinks a used car makes up for all that." Silence followed, stretched too long. Then Uncle Ray put down his fork. He said, "Real low. That's enough, Floretta." She laughed, tried to wave it off, said she was just teasing. He looked at her again and said, "You've made this girl's life hell for years. And we all watched it happen. We're done pretending it's a joke. You humiliate her. You mock her. And when she gives you something you don't deserve, you treat it like trash. Not anymore." The room froze. I didn't look up. My heart was pounding so hard I thought the table might shake. He went on. "You're out of the business, Loretta. No more checks. No more access. You don't get to act like royalty and then cry victim. You've done enough." She said something. I couldn't hear what. But it didn't matter. No one was on her side anymore. For the first time, I saw her face softened, stripped of its usual edge. No armor, just a heavy silence. Uncle Ray turned to me and said, "Keep that car. Don't ever give it back." Then he stood and left. A few others trailed behind him. The room cleared out quickly. My mom sat frozen at the table. As I walked past her to leave, she didn't even glance up. It was the first time I saw her truly alone, not just physically, but in the way that cuts deeper. And I didn't feel guilty. After that dinner, everything went eerily quiet. No texts, no Bible verses masking guilt trips, no unannounced visits. Just a strange, still silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels like the hush before something ominous. At first, I thought maybe they'd finally cut me out of the family circle. Part of me even hoped for it. But another part kept checking my phone every few hours, bracing for the next crisis to handle. Instead, the silence lingered. I kept going to therapy. Every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Jenna, my therapist, had this calm that made you feel like breathing was okay. I told her everything. The birthday, the Lexus, the dinner, the years of being the family let down, the girl who never measured up. She listened without interrupting. Then one session, she said something odd. "Have you ever screamed at her? I mean, really screamed. Let out all that anger you're carrying." I said no. That wasn't how I was raised. In our house, anger wasn't expressed. It was saved up, sharpened, and unleashed later, usually after wine and in front of an audience. Jenna's words stuck with me. "You've been silencing your voice so long, you don't even know what it sounds like at full volume." I brushed it off at first. Screaming at my mother? She'd spin it into proof I was unhinged, dramatic, ungrateful, the usual playbook. But the idea wouldn't leave me. A week later, I drove the Lexus to her house. No call, no warning, just showed up. Same lawn gnomes, same chipped garden angel. She opened the door in her robe, and her mouth tightened the moment she saw me. "If this is about the car, I told her to stop," she said. I brushed past her before she could say more, heading straight to the living room. The couch still had those throw pillows I gave her 5 Christmases ago, the ones she called tacky in front of everyone. Funny how she kept them. She followed, asking if I was okay, but not out of concern. It was that cautious tone people use to avoid embarrassment. I told her to sit. She didn't. So I started talking. I said I was done pretending I bought her that car to finally do something good enough for her. I thought maybe, just once, she'd see me as more than a disappointment. I told her about the jobs I worked, the vacations I skipped, the nights I came home too exhausted to stand. all to give her something I never had growing up, a win. And she threw it back in my face. I said every snide remark, every eye roll, every backhanded compliment had been piling up inside me for years, and I'd reached my limit. I wasn't her emotional punching bag anymore. She tried to interrupt, called me theatrical, but I didn't stop. I screamed louder than I ever had. I told her she made me feel worthless just for existing. That no matter what I did, good grades, clean record, a damn car, it was never enough because I wasn't Rachel or Danielle or someone she could flaunt at church. Then I said the words I didn't know I'd been holding. I used to want to be like you. Now I pray I never turn out anything like you. She looked stunned. Not remorseful, just shocked that I wasn't playing my role. I walked out. Didn't wait for a response. Didn't slam the door. Just left. In the car, I sat for a long time, breathing. My hands shook so hard I dropped my keys twice, but something in my chest felt different. Not good, not calm, but raw, real. I got home and collapsed on the couch. An hour later, Abby texted, "You lit a fuse. She's losing it." I didn't reply, but the next morning, I learned just how far she was willing to go. And this time, it wasn't just words. The morning after I screamed at her, I woke up drained. Not the kind of tired sleep can fix, the kind that sinks into your bones after years of holding your breath. I'd barely slept. My voice was hoarse, and my hands still trembled when I thought about how it all poured out of me, like fire after a gas leak. But for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't crushed by guilt. That lasted until 8:42 a.m. when my phone started buzzing. The first notification was from Rachel. We hadn't spoken since Christmas, when she called me emotionally high maintenance for crying at dinner. All she sent was a screenshot. It was a Facebook post from my mom, long, public, tagged to half the family and even some of her high school friends. She spilled everything. Her pain, her fear, how her mentally unstable daughter had stormed into her house, screaming threats. She wrote that I was violent, that I'd terrified her so much she couldn't sleep. She said she was living in fear and might need legal protection. Then this line, "Some children are just born broken." I did everything I could. Over 100 likes. Comments flooding in.my mom. Loretta always seemed like the perfect mother to others, but Emily, that's me, has been her scapegoat for years. When I took back the Lexus I'd bought with my own money, she spun a story online, painting me as the villain. Old friends didn't even ask for my side. They just believed her. Then Uncle Ray called, saying she showed up at his office, demanding a spot back on the family business payroll she hadn't earned in a decade. She threatened to spread rumors about him and a former bookkeeper, Heather, if he didn't comply. Ray called her dangerous, not just toxic, and warned me she was trying to sell the Lexus, claiming I'd gifted it to her. I moved the car to a friend's garage, took off the plates, and locked the title in a bank safe. A few days later, I noticed a man watching my apartment. He was there daily, staring at my window. Then I got served papers. Mom was suing me for emotional distress, claiming I stole the Lexus she needed for safety and errands. She included fake texts and statements to back her story. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was insane. She didn't just want the car, she wanted to destroy me. I hired a lawyer and decided to fight for myself, not the car. Then my dad showed up, looking worn out. He hadn't been around much since the divorce, but now he had a folder of emails and tax records proving Mom hadn't worked for the family business since 2013, despite collecting payments. He said she was broke, drowning in debt from cash advances and a second mortgage. The Lexus wasn't about love, it was her lifeline. Dad admitted he'd let her manipulate us for years and offered to testify against her. Uncle Ray and even my cousin Rachel backed me up, calling her out for years of emotional abuse. The lawsuit fell apart. Mom didn't show up to mediation, stopped paying her lawyer, and disappeared. No one knew where she went, until Rachel sent a photo of her in a rundown part of town, driving a beat-up Corolla. No Lexus, no house, just a woman who'd pushed everyone away. I kept the Lexus. Every time I drive it, it's a reminder of what I survived, working myself to death, skipping meals, and chasing love that was never real. Now I work less, eat better, and date people who don't tear me down. In therapy, I told Jenna I don't need Mom's love anymore. I just need to never become her. And that's enough.